An explosion near Mogadishu Barracks in Abuja has left one person dead and another injured. The blast, suspected to be caused by an improvised explosive device, has sparked panic around the area. Eyewitnesses say the explosion occurred early on Monday and may have involved a suicide bomber carrying an IED in a rubber container. However, military sources on ground say the cause might have been a faulty phone battery, not a bomb. Security operatives from the Army, DSS, police and NEMA quickly arrived at the scene to secure the area and assess the situation. The Nigeria Police Force says investigation is ongoing to determine the exact cause of the blast. In the meantime, let's bring in News Central Correspondent Sagir Ibrahim. He's been at the scene to get first-hand account of the situation. He joins me now from Abuja. Thank you so much, Sagir. Initial reports on social media pointed to a suspected suicide bomb attack, but that has been debunked. What more can you tell us?
Well, unfortunate events today. Good evening, Adisha. Thank you so much for having me on tonight. So the initial suspicion was it may have been an improvised explosive device by a suspected suicide bomber. But on getting to the scene where the event happened, we spoke to quite a number of individuals who were actually present when the event occurred. In fact, some of them identified the individual being someone who was actually within that area and comes there from time to time to sell snacks and also soft drinks. On the particular day today, this afternoon, they said he had left one of the estates from around those areas that is still being constructed. And he left the gate after selling his wares to quite a couple of individuals and then went around the roundabout that is being shown on the screen, somewhere towards the left, and he sat down on a pavement that was close to the road, and he was there for a couple of minutes, they said, until they heard an explosion. Now, when the explosion happened, of course, a couple of them panicked, but on getting to the scene, we didn't see any impact or effect of the explosion. Of course, I believe that this was what prompted the security agencies to say it may not have been an improvised explosive, device. Otherwise, perhaps there could have been obvious, residue from the explosion or some reasonable damage done to the area. But the particular place where he sat, there was a perimeter fence just behind him, and no damage was done to that fence. The vicinity around him where he was, even though it was raining as at the time we got there, there were no signs of any form of explosion or debris from the explosion. So which, of course, to some extent, one would want to agree with the security agencies that it may, of course, not, have been an improvised explosive device. But the question, of course, what caused the explosion? What else could have caused the explosion? Because from the videos that we saw, it couldn't have been, the mobile phone that caused the magnitude of explosion that could have, given him the injury that he sustained. Talking about the person who lost his life, unfortunately. So the big question at this point is, what exactly caused the explosion, which, of course, we've not been able to find answers to.
Also, Sagir, another big question is, can we confirm the casualties, the fatalities? There are conflicting reports online saying one person is dead. Other very credible media sources are saying they're not claiming any fatalities. What do we know?
As a matter of fact, it's still quite sketchy. The statement that was released by the FCT command of the Nigeria Police Force did not mention any casualty, at the scene. Of course, they said somebody was injured, but the person who unfortunately lost his life, who we all saw on video on social media, was not mentioned. To the best of our knowledge, an investigation is still ongoing. Hopefully, subsequently, they would give more details as to exactly, the number of persons that were injured. However, eyewitness accounts points out that the individual, who unfortunately had the device detonated, lost his life, and one other individual that was standing close to him sustained injuries. That's the much that we know at this time.
Right. Sagir, and hopefully in the coming days, we'll get to hear more about the deceased and, more about the information on this story. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.